Frontline, Behind Enemy Lines for Christ, is a celebration of 40 years of God's faithfulness in providing for Frontline Fellowship. This next month will be 40 years since our first cross-border mission, and we knew that we had to give the untold story. For many years people have said, but what actually happened and what led to it? A new army of Christians willing to do valiantly, willing to step out into areas that are restricted access areas.
South African connections travelling to Zambia does so at their own risk. That's the view of one of the 4 missionaries who was released after spending 16 days in a Zambian prison. Mr. Peter Hammond is the director of the organisation Frontline Fellowship, which does Christian mission work in African states. His group was arrested and thrown into prison after refusing to pay bribes and part with some of their equipment.
African Mr. Peter Hammond were captured near the Malawi border 4 days ago. The 7, who were part of the California-based emergency relief team, were reportedly providing relief assistance to Mozambican civilians in the war-torn country.
Mr. Hammond will arrive in South Africa today. He is expected to give a full first-hand account of how the group was kidnapped by Frelimo soldiers to members of the media at Jan Smuts Airport.
We were actually in Malawian territory. We did not stray into Mozambique territory. We were definitely on Malawian side of the Mozambican checkpoint. They came out and surrounded us with guns, and they forced us across at gunpoint into Mozambique, put us into Soviet armored vehicle, later into Soviet helicopters, later into Soviet plane, and we were transferred all the way down to Maputo to the secret police prison at Mashava. We were not arrested, we were abducted. Christian survivors of massacres related to us many incidents of communist persecution of the church in Angola. They told us how Cuban officers came into their churches and put an AK-47 assault rifle up on a pulpit. They said, "This is now your God, this has power over life and death, worship this." The Holocaust in Rwanda has been widely reported. However, the anti-Christian aspect of the Hutu mass murder seems to have been generally ignored. So too has the influence of witchcraft, Marxism, and Islam.
The answers to prayer that we have seen, even the Nuba Mountains, which was an island of Christianity in the Sea of Islam.
Groups like Frontline Fellowship make their own way into Christian-held territories. Outside of the UN umbrella, they are free to bring medical and food assistance, Bibles and educational materials, and agricultural tools and seed.
And most precious of all is the Jesus film in Arabic, which we will be showing in this compound tonight. Whenever we asked them, what can we do to help you, we heard these words, Biblia, Biblia, Biblia. They wanted Bibles. And when we produced the Bibles, we saw people falling on their knees and weeping, saying, "I've never had a Bible before. Not since the Cubans burnt my Bible have I had the Word of God for myself." The Muslim Arab North has been attacking the Christian Black South since 1955. Most of the West Wall is pockmarked with holes from hundreds of pieces of shrapnel.
They are fighting to protect their families. They're fighting that their wives and children will not be taken slaves, so that they can liberate their country from this fundamentalist Muslim regime which is trying to wipe out every trace of Christianity.
It seems incredible that any government would target their own citizens and actually bomb hospitals, schools, churches, marketplaces. The Cubans then took many of the pews and Bibles and hymn books and the Lord's table and pulpit and made a bonfire outside. On this bonfire they threw the rest of the Bibles and hymn books. They then took the meat that they desecrated the church with and they had a barbecue. They actually roasted the meat for their meal of celebration. Later they went into church and tried to burn the whole church down.
God's incredible guidance, protection, provision will inspire a new generation of Christians. Frontline Behind Enemy Lines for Christ is to be launched to coincide with the 40th anniversary of Frontline Fellowship's first cross-border missions into a restricted access area. The book is going to be available in hardcover and softcover and print on demand and ebook format. And when we were put in front of a firing squad,